All right, y'all. All right. Hey. This is your boy Deric. Bump said, whatever you know me as, coming to you live. And I am the UpBus Podcast host. Today I have I'm actually still sharing it to a couple of places here, but I have the pleasure to have a living legend and a living automotive legend on with me today. This is Jim Ziegler. He was instrumental. One of the many things he's known for is he was actually instrumental in the per unit. I'm actually going to read it directly so I don't mess this up. But he was instrumental in he was actually part of the first dealership to produce $1 million in finance in the 80s. He was also instrumental in leading Dyer Volvo from 40 units to 850 plus units delivered. So huge. I think most people who have been in the automotive business and taken their training seriously have heard of him, run into him. I'm going to introduce him, let him talk a little bit more about himself. This is the Alpha Dog, Jim Ziegler. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Deric, being a legend is a heavy responsibility.
And you are most definitely, man. I think my first car deal, actually, I just watched because I was terrible when I first started. I was like, man, I got to find some training. I looked it up online. I was like, oh, wow, let me see what this guy's talking about. And I actually used one of your scripts to close deals. It's always been your stuff is always training, that I fall back to. But for those of you who are crazy, and for those who are crazy and don't know who you are, if you might kind of give a brief introduction to yourself, who you are, where you're from, and everything else.
Deric, I just started in the business 45 years ago. I walked into a car dealership, said I'd like to be a car salesman. Truth of the matter is, I didn't like to be a car salesman. I'd been a radio executive. I'd been a nationally known DJ. I was as well known in the radio industry as I became in the car business.
Yes, sir.
So here I was broke, divorced, angry. I will be a car salesman. I'm going to do this, get a free car until I can get a good job. I set records along the way. I drove to Atlanta in 1982, and I met my wife, and my wife, we've been married 35 years. Yes,
sir.
She's the best one so far. I'm telling you right now. But I became a salesman. I became a manager. I became a millionaire. It's that dream story, from where you started to where you got. And I've always tried to help other people.
That's huge.
If I could help you, I'll help everybody. And I've helped a lot of people. There's a lot of dealers out there that I trained when they were salespeople.
That's huge, man. I think someone once said that the true path to success is not just by trying to focus on yourself, making yourself successful, but helping everyone else achieve their dreams and aspirations and things like that.
Well, wonderful sentiment. I have no envy. I don't want what you have. I might want something like what you have, but I don't want yours. And if you achieve more than I achieve as something I helped you do, I am so pleased that I participated in that.
Huge, man. Love it. So I kind of want to jump into one of our many topics because we have roughly an hour or so that we typically run. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little shorter. I'm sorry.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. So first, I was watching a video actually, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago, and you kind of briefly mentioned, a couple of different sayings that were the tenets of Zieglerism. So, can you kind of explain that to us? What are the tenets of Zieglerism? Things that you can give to dealerships out there that, that you learned over the years?
Well, the one you quoted in most of the advertisement for this podcast was average people with great processes can yield incredible results.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be a superstar. You need to have super processes, and you need to adhere to those processes. I never became a superstar salesman until I allowed myself to be managed. Until I put that ego aside, because so many salespeople, they come into business and they're superstars the first couple months, and then all of a sudden they crash and burn. All of a sudden, they become. Expertise is a terrible disease. So Zieglerisms are closes and word tracks that are unique to me. Zieglerisms I've invented so much of what is now standard practice in the car business. People say, Ziegler, you're old school. Hell, I invented old school. Excuse me. I mean, I have had to reevaluate the way I do things. I've had to reinvent myself so many times through the years because the paradigm keeps shifting. And if you never change what you were doing, and you're not open to new things, and you're not on the crest of the wave. I mean, so many people are waiting for the wave to roll over to be sure that they like it. I'm on the crest of the wave all the time. I'm ahead of it. I had income producing websites in 1993.
That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched things develop. Now we've got the COVID-19 coming up. It's not going to ever be the way it was.
I mean, speaking on that, what can dealerships do, in regards to their processes, training, what should we as dealerships do to prepare, or really just to handle this new reality? Because like you said, it's not going to go back to being the same. I think this is a forever, a big change that's forever going to be in the automotive industry.
Well, first of all, and I know a lot of salespeople aren't going to hear this, but we're gonna have to reduce staff. We're gonna have to get down to quality people. Now, there's not a dealership out there that doesn't have individuals that should be fired. There's dealerships, and we know who we're talking about. 5-Car Fred.
Yes, sir.
we got dealerships that have been carrying dead weight because we're emotionally attached to bad people. We're not safe houses for underachievers. We're going to have to get lean, mean, and you can grow or you can die, but you cannot stay where you are. And that's the hard, cold reality of what is right now. We need people that are process driven. We need to be concierge sales. Concierge sales is the buzzword. Frictionless. Sell the car the way the people want to buy the car. And that's going to be 3 or 4 different modalities of buying an automobile. And the thinkers in the business, myself included, we're improvising, we're devising, we're inventing. I have had to invent things that nobody taught me so many times. Everybody wants to take the path we've always taken, but that path leads nowhere anymore. You can't do what you used to do. You can grow or you can die, but you cannot stay where you are. I've said that so many times. And it's a technology world. And I know dealers right now, and I know a lot of dealers. I've stood in 1,000 showrooms. I know, and I've been in 49 states. I've not made it to Alaska.
Hawaii, though. You made it to Hawaii.
I've done Hawaii so many times. I mean, I consulted the cutter chain on the islands for years. And they were the biggest dealer in Hawaii for years. I think Cervico Pacifico might have passed them, but I worked with a cutter chain, and they got a little upset that I had to pay my first class airfare from Atlanta.
It's a big trip.
Dog don't fly in the back of no planes.
I heard that.
I don't even know what goes on back there. But yeah, we got to reinvent ourselves. Everybody's going to have to look at technology, concierge sales, and I dislike Carvana immensely, but they have taught us that we're going to have to start delivering vehicles in-home sales. That's going to have to be one of the modalities that we sell cars.
Tell me, what else can we learn from Carvana? I know that I've seen so many different reports to where the customers like that process. I think that that's where everybody wants it to be, Amazon-like service for the car buying process. But I think the execution wasn't the best, because I see a lot of bad reviews, that are out there.
They've got some bad reviews. They're bleeding money out of every artery, I mean, they're not profitable, and they're not profitable because dealers, we have the ability to outperform the model they are doing.
How so?
Well, first of all, we've got the cars. Never forget, we've got the cars. Many times, they say that they can get a car to you. They can't get a car to you in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. Read the reviews. I mean, Now, oftentimes they can, but these people are advertising cars they do not have. You know, and we've got the cars and we've got the service. And we can do any amount of contact sales that they want to do. You know, we don't have to do I don't believe the consumers are totally contactless sales. You know, they're going to want to look at the car. We've got them. You know, they can transact online. And as I said with my friend Ken Rosenfield the other day, the problem right now is there are no vendors that have devised a technology that a dealership can totally transact online. Now the vendors have that technology. Carvana has that technology, but no vendor has made a technology where the dealer can operate it themselves on our own, with our own websites, our own BDCs, and our own CRMs, and we can operate and keep all the profits. Right now, the vendors that have the full technology delivery, those vendors are keeping the profits. They're siphoning off especially the finance profits, because right now the only profit in a new car is finance.
Absolutely,
that's the only profit, and those products have value. And now that they've learned to transact F&I online, and not extremely profitably, but they can do it. You know, so we're gonna have to learn concierge sales. But coming out of this thing, most dealers are not prepared to come out of this COVID shutdown. Little things like everybody wearing masks, social distancing, a different pen for everybody. I mean,
small things.
Little things. I mean, you won't be handing a pen back and forth. Consumers don't. I'm going to have to learn every sort of wrap and bump handshake, because I could do the regular handshake.
Chicken winging
it. You know, I'm going to have to learn all kinds of substitutes for handshakes, you know, because consumers certainly don't want to be touched.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have to think through just the small things, and in service as well as sales.
I know that, you know, social media has seen a humongous jump, you know, just the amount of engagement, folks spending time, because a lot more folks are at home. I think shouts out to Kobe, Jason Gardner, and those guys. He shared a screenshot of one of his ad sets, and I think traditionally it'd been like $11 or $12 or something like that per lead, and now he was showing like it's $1.50, $1.70 or something like that. With, you know, advertising being, you know, like something. Well, actually, I'll ask this question first. Should we be advertising more so right now? Should we definitely, you know, dump more into our digital budgets at this time, or should we focus on being more so conservative?
Well, right now there's a lot of pent up demand, and we are about to see a flood of cheap inventory. I mean, think about it. There are cars at the ports. There's cars in storage lots all over the place. I mean, thousands and thousands of unsold inventory out there. And used cars, that's going to be one thing we're going to have to be really cognizant of, is used car values, you know, especially with the trade in a vehicle, because the new cars are going to be incentivized by the manufacturers probably a lot cheaper than a late model used. So it's one thing we're not anticipating. It's going to be hard to trade people out of their cars. Harder. Now we got 84-month financing out there. That's ridiculous. I mean,
it's everywhere. I think I saw, and maybe I'm not sure how true this is, but he was saying something like a 605 or something like that. Somebody got 0% financing with a 605 score. I was like, come on, bro. Ain't no way. But it's going on. That's what's happening.
There's a lot of credit challenge people now. I'm learning to be socially acceptable. You know, I'm very I generally have a reputation for saying, you know, we used to call credit challenge people derogatory names. Bogues, Drex, roaches, credit criminals. You know, we don't do credit challenged, equity impaired.
Yes, sir.
But you got to remember, Bogues know who they are. They've received mail about it.
Yes, sir.
you know, I've never had anybody say bad credit. Me? You're kidding, Mr. Ziegler. Did you not see that tow truck skulking around your driveway?
That brings up a good point, though. With all this, with COVID-19, there's so much unemployment out there. Folks' credit score is going to be affected. What advice can you give to dealerships out there to kind of prepare for this rise of, defaults and things like that, as they try to help these folks get back into vehicles?
Well, my specialty, most of my career, I was in F&I.
Uh-huh.
I was only a general sales manager 1 year. I was an F&I manager and a salesman the rest of my career. And my specialty as an F&I manager was getting the hard to get deals put together. The consumer credit counseling interview, I invented that entire concept, and that concept's sort of been lost, where people get in front of the consumer and build a whole case on why this deal should be approved.
Yes, sir.
People, we go by the credit score today, and we've lost that skill in the dealerships. The F&I managers don't have that skill. They flip out a menu, and the customer says no, they move on. Mm-hmm. Salesmanship is persuasion and finesse. And I was a record-setting F&I manager, and all the records I set were in F&I. I was the first F&I manager in the world to do $1,000 a retail unit. That was 1982.
Huge.
That was 48-month financing and $10,000 cars. Different time in history. And my per retail unit record was long since broken, but it was a big number at the time. It was $2,267 a retail unit. I did it one time. But that record was broken when 60-month, 72-month financing came about. But you got to remember, I was operating with different products, different value of the cars. It was a good record while it lasted. It was one of those. And then, of course, Dyer & Dyer Volvo, we went from 40 units a month to 850 units a month in a year and a half. And I don't take credit for that. I was one of a team of 5 people, and we have got to learn in F&I the things that some of us old timers knew, how to put these deals together, how to interview the customer, how to build a case. There's 4 C's of credit. Number one reason deals are turned down is not credit. That is one of the C's. Capacity is the number one reason deals are turned down. People don't make enough money and they have too much debt. Debt load in the 4 C's of credit. Capacity is the first reason deals are turned down. Number one reason. It takes more points off a scoring system than anything. And then credit history. And then collateral. But then there's that ethereal character. You build the character argument that this is good people that had some bad breaks that aren't likely to happen again. And when I invented the credit interview, first time I spoke at an NADA convention was 1987. That was San Francisco. You get a little feedback there?
I'm over here trying to keep up and mention everything that I want to make sure I change the title to keep up what you're talking.
Well, anyway, yeah, we're going all over the place. I hope you don't mind.
Oh no, I'm with it, brother. This is what it's all about. Just free talking, let it flow.
It's conversation. I hate to do a structured interview. Just let's just talk.
That's it.
People to people. Let's just do that. Yeah. Well, when I spoke at the NADA convention, 1987, it was in San Francisco. First time I spoke, I had the highest grades up until that time by the audience that any speaker had ever received. And my subject was how to work the lenders creatively. And it centered around the consumer credit interview. How to get in front of the consumer, how to structure a deal that the banker would buy. There's a lot of things in credit bureaus that are erroneous, and you can get them out of there in no time at all. there's dangling balances in people's credit bureaus that they paid off. Biggest example would be student loans. People pay off their student loans, but the lender doesn't take it out of their bureau, and it's still counting against their debt load and their credit score. So, when I interview a customer about their bureau, I start looking for dangling balances that are still in there that the consumer paid off. And then I start looking for credit they've got that's not in the bureau. Now, recently, Asperian has jumped onto my techniques from 20 years ago, and they're putting things into the bureau that I have always added things. See, the Fair Credit Reporting Act says you can add things to a customer's credit bureau if and that takes their score up if there's not a debt load problem.
Absolutely.
So did you get a rent to own TV? Yeah. Did you rent it till you owned it? That's credit. I can get that in your bureau.
It's huge.
I mean, did you get a buy here, pay here car? Oh yeah. Or did you buy it till you paid all your payments so far? Yeah. Well, I know you're up to date on your payments because the car is still here.
There we go.
They haven't hooked it yet. So if you got a buy here, pay here car, that is installment credit. I make the buy here, pay here lot put that in their bureau. Because the buy here, pay here lot is a member of the credit bureau. You see their inquiries all the time. You can force a buy here, pay here lot to report a customer's payment history on their buy here, pay here car.
I did not know that, actually. That's something I'm learning right now. Well, that's huge, though.
That's why I'm who I am. If everybody knew what I knew, they'd get paid what I get paid.
That's the main reason why I wanted to start this podcast was, I wanted to make sure there was a free-flowing conversation. We can just talk. Like I said, it's, I kind of structured a little bit where I've just got points I want to make sure we kind of touch on from what people are submitting, but just to get that information out in a different kind of way where, it's no holds barred. Like, I'm not advertising this to anybody but car guys, which is why I call it the UpBus Podcast. Because when I put that out, most people are like, "What's the UpBus? What is that?" I was like,
I saw one of those UpBuses the other day. It was a big brown truck, and it said UPS on the side, ups, right on the side. It took your ups to the parts department. So if you're waiting for the ups department bus, big brown truck, said ups right on the side.
One thing I was doing watching a lot of your videos recently to prepare for this. One thing that really stood out to me was I'm trying to think of how you said it. Positions of power. You know what I'm saying? Like the way you teach F&I is I'm not a part of the dealership. I'm something different.
Posturing.
Power posturing. There we go.
Power posturing. Power posturing, and we're talking F&I right now. And we could be talking sales management. When I'm an F&I manager, I am totally suited up every day. I don't care if the entire dealership wears polo shirts. I am in a suit. Bankers don't wear polo shirts. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I want to look like somebody totally different than the sales department. And most F&I departments are stinky little dungeons in the dealership, a little 10 by 10 office with papers stacked up everywhere and crap tacked on the walls and taped here. Quit it. You look like a slum when you go in the F&I office. Quit it. When I went to Banner Ford the first time, that was where I broke the $1,000 barrier. Banner Ford, Decatur, Georgia. Brett Greer was the dealer. Randy Cameron was the F&I provider. Those guys. And some of my last living witnesses. Anyway, Brad Greer said that he was going to make me the F&I manager because I'd already been to F&I school, and he sent me to another F&I school. But I had to sell cars in November and December because he was not going to fire the F&I manager until the holidays were over. So for 2 months, I had to not only be the top salesman at the dealership, I had to face that F&I manager every day knowing I was his replacement.
That's tough, man.
It was real tough. But I did. So finally come the big day, like January 3rd or whenever it was. I go in that office and I looked at, and the desk had bricks for one of the legs. Mm-hmm. And there was a beam over top, a beam up here. And the F&I manager had taped all his rate sheets up there. Mm-hmm. And the paneling was terrible. And he had staples where he stapled things into the paneling, and then he tore them out, and there's just a little piece of paper with a ragged staple, you know. So my wife and I went in there on a Sunday when the dealership was closed. Mm-hmm. Brad Greer came in Monday morning, and he walked past the office and looked, backed up, looked again, because all that crappy wood paneling was in the dumpster. Mm. That desk was in the service department. My wife and I had recarpeted the entire office, put my own blonde wood desk in there. We'd cleaned the computer, got all the dirt and smudge off the computer, and we had beautiful living room lighting. I had completely power postured that office. It was the nicest office in the dealership. And Brad Greer, my friend, had to remodel his own damn office because mine was nicer.
That's pride and ownership too, man. You know, I think that's something that we should all do, you know, anyway. We should always take pride in our workspace, you know, kind of make it our own.
Well, people don't. I mean, I go in dealerships all the time. You know, I've been, like I say, more than 1,000 showrooms and multiple trips to some of them. And first thing I look at is the display. Mm. We have all these advertisements, big sale, and they get to the dealership and it doesn't look like a big sale. You know, it's the same old, you know, quit it. I mean, I teach display of merchandise. The front line of your dealership is 1/4 of a mile of billboard. And people park their cars 18 inches apart. Your cars on your lot are parked so close together, you can't have a fat lot man. You know, I mean, come on. And so people driving down the street, what do they see? A line of headlights. Mm. They don't see merchandising. They don't see cars on elevated ramps. When Richard Dyer concepted Dyer & Dyer Volvo, he had cars on ramps with spotlights crisscrossing in the sky. I mean, he would go buy a Lamborghini just to display a Lamborghini on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard.
Wow.
We had people slam their brakes on to see some of those exotics that he put on those ramps.
That's huge.
We displayed the dealership. Cars parked at diagonals. Cars parked apart far enough where you can see a Chevrolet dealership, a Ford dealership, a Dodge dealership. You don't put trucks on the front line. What are you, brain dead? People know you got trucks. Put off-brand merchandise on the front line. I mean, things that people don't expect to find at a Chevrolet store. You got a Chevrolet store and you have just traded in a BMW 5 Series. Now, I'm going to put that vehicle on the front line on an elevated ramp. I'm going to display that because somebody wakes up today and they say, oh, Maud, I think I'm going to go buy a BMW late model 5 Series. Let's go look and see if they got one at the Chevy store. Nobody does that. If you got a late model 5 Series BMW, you better display it because people aren't thinking. You know, it better be good. It better be Google maximized, and it better show up on the street.
That's genius. God, that's genius, man. So many opportunities created from it. That's huge, huge.
Well, that's my management background. Mm-hmm. I think like a manager. I am a manager. I was one of the most successful managers of my generation. You know, and as a consultant, I've turned around more dealerships than anybody. You know, I've got dealerships that I went in selling 400 units and a year later we're at 1,000. I've done that over and over again. Huge. And, you know, and not just because I say so, I can tell you who they are to present you with the people that can document it. I mean, I've done it so many times.
What would you say is the number one thing? Also, well, not the number one thing, but the most common thing that you see, that needs to be fixed at dealerships?
The most common thing is people need to do their process. Now, the road to the sale is not dead. It evolved. We put technology into it. It's now a technology hybrid road to the sale. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
People say the road to the sale is dead only because you don't know the road to the sale. Now, do you teach people in your dealership to say something like "Welcome to the dealership" or something like that?
Mm-hmm. You do. I think our specific verbiage is "Welcome to American Car Center. My name is Deric. What's yours? Great. It's your first time to the dealership. We're here to see someone else." And
okay.
Then,
how many salespeople have you?
All together, probably 200-300 altogether. Okay. Across all the dealerships, yeah.
Okay. I will bet you I've only got like $200 in my pocket, but I'll go to an ATM machine and get more. You want to make a bigger bet? I'll bet you I can find somebody not saying that.
I can agree. Yeah, okay. I'm with you.
Okay, as a manager, if I can't get my salespeople to say the simple things, I know they're not doing the complicated things. You work for me, you're going to say that, or you're not going to be here. Or I'm going to stop teaching it. See, the thing is, everybody knows my processes. But to actually be strong enough as a manager to do your process. And little things like stupid things people say. What's your budget? Do you realize what a dumbass thing that is? Mr. Customer, tell me a number you're never going to get. Tell me a number you made up on the exit ramp that has no mathematical correlation to the car that we're looking at. Give me a number we can fight about.
That's true. I
don't want to know their budget. The customer must hear my number before I hear their number. Because most people find out the customer number, and this is what we do. We spend the entire deal trying to, here's the word, bump them. They told us, customers aren't telling you the most they could possibly pay. When you say, what's your budget, you think they give you the highest figure they had in mind?
Not at all. They throw up everything, and then they always got like a couple more reserved. We're going to tell them this, but really we got, yeah.
So here's the salesman at the desk trying to scare the manager's pencil. Right?
Yes, sir.
I invented desking. Don't do that to me. Excuse me. So Mr. Customer, most banks, and down payment is the key to profit. You asked about profit earlier.
Absolutely.
Down payment is the key to profitability. Most dealerships don't. If I was to take a poll of most franchised dealerships in the greater Atlanta metro, where I live, I will guarantee you that the average cash down payment out of the customer's pocket is around $250.
Wow.
Yeah. Dealerships I work with average about $1,700. People have the money. We don't get it. Mr. Customer, and one of my favorite Zieglerisms is the word "as you know." Nobody wants to admit they don't know. Right? As you know. Mr. Customer, as you know, the banks in this market, including General Motors, would like to see as much as 20% cash down for preferred and premium financial programs. So we'd like to get a check from you today for $6,083. Yeah. So if you don't, they got to hear your number, and down payment is the key. So we'd like to get a check from you today for $6,083. That'll make your estimated monthly investment somewhere between this range. Well, I haven't got that kind of money. No problem. So the banks don't require 20%. That's how much they would like to get. That's how much they advertise. If you see an ad on TV, all that fine print you couldn't read, they had 20% built in. So, Mr. Customer, they don't require 20%. That's ideally what they would like to get. Here's the key close. I can certainly get you financed with less down payment. How close to that can you come up with?
I love that. God, I love that, man. It sets them, it kind of resets expectations. They thought one thing, then they come in and they, man, I got to put how much? 5,000. Now let me, instead of me starting from the bottom and kind of inching up now, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to, get as close as possible to mine. Huge. Actually, I use that. That's why I was telling you I was kind of running a little late. I actually used that earlier today with the young lady because, I'll be honest, I was kind of nervous because, for this specific vehicle, it was going to require, a pretty sizable amount. And I just, started way higher and, looked at her with a straight face. And then she was like, I can't do 5, but I got 40. I got 40. I think you said like 42. I was like, okay, cool. When, again, if I had done the wrong positioning, then it wouldn't have come out that way.
I got this credit challenge customer and I haven't got a down payment. Well, let me ask you a question. If you went to jail tonight and your bond was $20,000, oh, I'd need $2,000 for the bondsman. Where would you get that money? My aunt. Let's call her. But as you know, the banks in this market, including Ford Credit, would like to see as much as 20% cash down for preferred and premium financial programs. For preferred and premium financial programs, and that is an absolute true statement. Down payment affects your tier level. Absolutely. So if when the customers come in with no down payment, they get a higher interest rate, and it takes away from the profit in the deal. And salespeople got to get that mentality. So, and well, I've only got $1,000. Now here's the other word track. $1,000, and you got to give them that look. $1,000. I like to whistle. $1,000. Sir, could you go as much as $1,500 if you had to? Well, if I had to, sir, you have to. If you had to is one of the best closes in the world. Could you go as much as $1,500 if you had to? Well, if I had to, sir, I'm pretty confident you're going to have to.
I think the main one that we use and we teach is, because a lot of times, how much were you looking to put down today on a vehicle? They'll throw out a number and then immediately after up to, and of course they always jump a good bit right then and there.
I invented a variation of that 30 years ago called the pistol bump.
Pistol bump.
The pistol bump worked when I was with Banner Ford. We were Banner Ford was sort of like in the hood. And we had some credit challenges.
Yes,
and
sir.
My nickname was Popeye with the sales force. And Popeye, because I always give the customer give me that look, And,
sure.
and the rumor got around that Popeye could bump a customer twice without saying a word.
Wow.
Because they come in and I'd be sitting there and I wouldn't even look at the customer. I'd just have my computer. I said, what kind of payment you looking for? $250? $300? The pistol bump.
That's it.
I'd point at him and go.
Using that.
Try to pistol bump sometime.
All right, I love that. That's dope. The pistol bump.
Yeah, like pistol bump. There were some things we did in those days that cannot be done today legally or ethically, or you get a letter to the manufacturer if you did it today. But I invented the Federal Express close.
I gotta hear this one. What's the Federal Express? I've heard that one.
When Federal Express first came out with a Federal Express overnight envelope, the big cardboard one we use today, it was kind of unique. Nobody really, it was brand new. This was in the 80s. So the cardboard envelope came out and a consumer come in, what's my payment? Well, let me see if they've sent your contract. I'd pull that Federal Express envelope out and I'd go, look, you got a service contract.
I like that one.
You got credit life.
I like that.
Yeah, well, you can't do that today. if you go on my Facebook page and go through my photos, there are photographs of customers doing push-ups to qualify for credit life insurance.
Get out of here. How do you talk people into doing it?
Yeah. Well, you probably don't qualify for it, sir. What do you mean you don't qualify? You had to be able to do 10 push-ups.
I think, you know what? Matter of fact, I remember, what was it? I was with Group 1 at the time. I think, I forget his name. I think it's Fame. Pete Longshaw?
Pete the Longshaw hit second charge. Yeah, I know those guys over there.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember. They have a dealership in Biloxi, Mississippi. Well, Gulfport, Mississippi. But I want to say it was either Casey. No, it was Casey McGraw, actually. He was the GSM running Pat Peck Nissan out there. I think he talked about that once or twice. Yeah.
Casey McGraw, I know Casey very well.
Get out of here. He was
he was with Mahindra when they were trying to bring Mahindra into the country, the Mahindra cars from India. He's a race car driver.
I'm trying to think. He's he's actually one of the best GSMs I've ever worked under. Because I was I think I always had a lot of energy, and that's pretty much the one thing that helped me out when I was first kind of getting started in the automotive business, because I had no natural talent whatsoever. I just had to outwork everybody, make the most phone calls, talk to the most people. Terrible closing ratio, but I was always just upbeat and pushing. But I'm sitting with him. He's one of the first people that actually sat down with me and said, "Hey, let's focus on the process." You know what I'm saying? Here's the road to sale. Cool. You know what?
McGraw Ziegler trained.
Is he? Wow, yeah. That's dope, man.
I mean, I know a lot of people. When you've been kicking around for 45 years and you've traveled all the states I have, you know a lot of people, and I know people in management. And you were asking earlier about how do we come out of this crisis? Salespeople need to learn to prospect again. And social media is an incredible source of leads.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can walk out of any dealership in the world, as long as it's not bad weather, as long as it's not a Sunday, as long as it's not a holiday. I'll walk out of that dealership at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I will come back with a buyer that takes delivery before the sun sets.
Let's go.
Every day of the week. And why people don't know how to hook up with strangers and sell them cars. Where do you find buyers? Try the interstate at 5 o'clock. They're out there bumper to bumper.
I think, with Facebook being so heavy nowadays, like any tips on the social media, like for the new guy coming into this, like, I want to do a little more on social media. What would you suggest they do to kind of get their brand or their name out there to get more people? Is just with the ads more so, or like using more so like just their personal page? Well,
they're going to need a personal page. They're going to need to interact with other people. I've got 150,000 people on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, and some of those are the same people on two different networks. So say I got 100,000 different people, but they're all in the car business.
Absolutely.
I've got several private groups. I don't know if you're aware of, I've got some private groups that are pretty large, 15,000 people.
Huge.
Yeah, they're all in the car business. So to expand your circle of influence. And you talk about to get referrals, you got to give referrals. Now, Deric, have you ever sold a customer a car that was a plumber?
Yes.
Did you ever refer any plumber business to him?
Actually, I did. That was something that I kind of learned early on from Casey, you know what I'm saying? Helping people.
Wonder where you got that from. Yeah. The best way to get referrals is give referrals. I used to cross-reference all my customers and what they offered, what services they had. I'd even ask them. And, to build a downline of customers that are loyal to you, to interact with people. I go on people's Facebook pages every single morning. I'll go on 30, 40 people's Facebook pages, say, good morning. I hope everything's going well for you. I hope you're safe and healthy. And I just have a little conversation starter just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And, when people pick up a telephone and talk to a customer, they're always selling something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call up a customer, and one of my best opening statements in a phone call is, hey, Jim Ziegler, look, I don't have a business agenda for this call. I'm not going to try to sell you something. I just want to see how you're doing. You mentioned to me last fall that your wife was trying to get a promotion. Did she get that promotion? And I don't have a business agenda for this phone call. I'm not going to try to sell you something. I just want to see how you're doing. Customers, every time, hi, John, do you have any family members looking for a car? Anybody you know?
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you because every time you call them, you're hammering them to buy something. There's no relationship there. I get to know the people. And that's quite a bit different.
Why is that such a, why don't we do that as an industry more? Because I think it's common knowledge that, the average automotive salesperson, when people think of that, they think of like a terrible person, that old guy and Danny DeVito? They think of, the used car stuff, right? Especially when we have avenues like Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Why are we so hesitant to do that type of stuff? Because you're right. Every time I pick up the phone, I got a script and I'm, plugging, trying to get people in, give me your trade, or, we got this new sale or something like that.
Well, one of the best things that I ever worked in prospecting was, would you consider selling me the car you're driving? And I'll say that to a complete stranger on a shopping center parking lot. So that's a tremendous car you got there. Did you consider selling it? I'm a representative of Superior Nissan, and we're looking for that exact car. We'll pay stupid money for it. How much? When the customer says how much, that's the equivalent of the cork going under.
I got him. Let's go.
Set the drag. Yeah. So anyway, there's so many elements to selling a car. Now, I was a great car salesman. I set dealership records. I never set national records, but I was never beaten on the board. I was always the number one salesman wherever I was. And but 30 cars was a good number. Today,
absolutely,
you got Frank Cornetti pumping out 140 units in Pennsylvania. Saying
Ali Embrata killing it.
Yeah, you got people like that just knocking it out of the ballpark. But with the technology we had and the processes we had, that was the best we could really do at that time. So the records I set were all in management, but I was a good salesman, and my ability to prospect was incredible. That was because I came into business during a recession. I've weathered 2 or 3 down times. I see so many people right now with long faces that don't know this ends, this goes away. There's going to be another side to this. You just got to get there.
That's it. Just hold on through the storm.
Absolutely. What kind of questions you got for me, big guy?
Absolutely. I was actually going to transition to something else. I saw a video the other day where you were talking about, I think, this is a growing, something we're all starting to kind of come to realize, but, most customers are really payment shoppers versus price shoppers. And I think with all these different avenues that are out there, such as Car Gurus, Auto Trader, yada, 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 what I'm saying? We're all stuck on trying to have the lowest price possible. What are your thoughts on that? Advertising payment versus price.
I have always said the consumers are payment buyers. Very few people are price buyers. Even your high dollar luxury buyers are still payment buyers. And I have sold luxury and I have sold Chevrolets. So I've been all over them. And consumers are payment buyers. And I can't believe people still advertise price point. price point, you got to declare it, but it's not the focus of the sale.
Mm.
The monthly payment amount is what sells cars.
Mm.
These old timers, price sells cars. No, it doesn't. Payment sells cars. Yeah. Majority of people are financing their vehicles.
Yes, indeed. What else we got here? Actually, because I know we're getting close, and I want to make sure that I'm saying that I'll hold you all night. I know you got tons and tons of stories out there.
We got some war stories. You want to hear some war stories? We got some war stories.
I do. I want to hear some of your war stories.
Oh golly, there's a guy named Ken Vargas that was my used car manager at Superior Nissan, which started out as Superior Datsun, to show you how far back that goes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we sold a lady a car one time, and I sold it to her. It was remember the little Mustang 2s, the little ugly Mustang that came out with for about half a minute. It was sort of like a Pinto, we had one on the used car lot. And I was a Nissan salesman. I don't know what Ford was building. So I had marked off 6-cylinder on the purchase order. And it was a 4-cylinder. So she came in and she was just raising hell, going to sue the dealership because I had misrepresented a 4-cylinder automobile. And so my used car manager, Mr. Ken Vargas, who's still in the business in Jacksonville, Ken Vargas did the honorable thing. He put the other 2 cylinders on back order.
That's funny.
We ordered the other 2, so give her a wee.
There we go. I want to actually do a series where we basically, and I'm gonna try to make it look as official as possible. I'm still trying to work out the kinks, but we go through and tell kind of the crazy stories, right? Because we've all heard them. You know what I'm saying? Like the really, really crazy stories. We all have the person blacked out, and of course we'll have a voice change and everything, and just talk about the insane stuff that happens at the dealership. Because I don't think the everyday person gets how much of a circus it can be. It looks all nice and everybody's dressed up and smiling and super excited. But behind the scenes, sometimes it can get pretty wild out there.
I've been there. Like I say, I have done car sales or desk deals or done F&I in 1,000 showrooms. I mean, when you look at, I got 5 million miles with Delta. I've been there.
Goals.
And it's amazing. Some of the dealerships that you go to are so rough. I fired the dealer, walked out. I said, look, I can't help you. And there's other dealers that we have taken to the moon. I mean, dealers, J.W. Wiesner in Conroe, Texas, was selling like 200 units, and we were at 600 units a month in like 4 months.
Huge.
I mean, we never ever, all the years I've been doing this, never ever gradually grew a dealership. Always exploded into the numbers. The trick to growing a dealership is to study what that dealership is capable of doing. Study the market conditions, study the competition, and to know what that dealership is capable. And when we ascertained that dealership was capable of selling 600 units, we started acting like we were already selling 600 units.
What were some of the changes that you implemented to kind of, step into that 600 unit status?
Okay, we upped the advertising budget that was commensurate with that type of sales. We got the inventory. We actually increased the sales staff to accommodate that. Because from a management viewpoint, most dealerships, this is going to change, but most dealerships, salespeople are going to average 8 units a month. I mean, that's your 20 car superstar and your 3 car Fred. But I've never been able to break that cycle until now with the technology and the new things we're doing. Now we got salespeople selling higher volume but less profit. it's getting more difficult to make gross profit on a vehicle than it ever was. And that's a paradigm we're going to have to face. That's something we're going to have to look at. And F&I is the last viable profit center in the variable operation. You look at AutoNation, you look at Group 1, you look at any of the big entities, Asbury, Sonic, they're CarMax. They're not making their money on the cars. They're making their money on the finance.
Absolutely.
Every one of the big super entities. And if we let the vendors steal the finance, which they're attempting to do now, that it's got to the point now where the vendors are blatant about it. They're out in the open. The lead providers, they're channeling your customers to other dealers. I mean, it's gotten pretty blatant, some of the tricks some of the vendors are playing on us. And finance is the last frontier. We're going to have to train our finance people. We're going to have to do precision finance. We can't have people sitting in a room for 2 hours while we hammer out finance. People say they want to get the entire sale from A to Z under 45 minutes. I don't agree with that.
What would you suggest?
I think if you can keep the sale under an hour and a half from meet and greet to taillights, you've done a good job. A 45-minute sale is not going to have profit. And it's not going to have customer satisfaction. But now, once again, we're concierge selling. When you get into concierge selling, we're selling totally online. That customer has already done most of their pre-signing. We've got to get e-signature. That's going to be a whole different ball game, and nobody really can speak intelligently about it, including me. I've got some pretty good ideas how we're going to do it, and we're starting to experiment with them. But people that claim to be an expert, they're not.
It's the new frontier.
New frontier.
All right, sir. I got one last question for you, and again, thank you so much for coming up on here. I want to end with your most memorable sale.
Most memorable sale.
Yes, sir.
Was my wife.
Wow. Okay.
Sold her a 1982 Thunderbird Elan. Loaded up. It was the most expensive car we sold. It was like $14,000. Banner Ford. Put her in a 5-year lease. I put her in the ditch. I made $3,200 on a $14,000 car.
Wow.
And then I made every payment myself.
Wow.
Pissed me off.
That's what's up.
Made my wife away, and I put her in a 5-year lease too, and I had to make all those payments. I mean, you can't get out of a 5-year lease.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
But yeah, there were so many memorable sales, and I was in North Carolina, and it was a Volvo dealership, and I get on the overhead, and I said, "Where's Martha? Martha Higgins, where are you?" And the salesman had cubicles. She sticks. Who's asking? She sticks her head up. And I'm negotiating with this woman on the PA system.
What? Are you serious?
People coming up from the service department. What the hell is going on up here? I said, that car's not worth it. I got new tires on it.
Over the PA system. That's what's up.
Because, that's when I started wearing the hats. There's a dealership in Miami, Anthony Abraham. Anthony Abraham, he sold all his dealerships to AutoNation. But Anthony Abraham was a Lebanese immigrant. He owned all these dealerships. He had Abraham Ford, Abraham Chevrolet, here Abraham Lincoln. And he used to say, the man at the top of the mountain didn't fall there. That was his big thing. And he was as flamboyant as I am, So I was in his dealership in Tampa. And Bill Steinmetz was a general manager. And the customer and I are negotiating back and forth. And I said, okay, I'll do it. But as part of your down payment, I need your hat. You want my hat? Yeah, I'm not going to do the deal without your hat. So the customer ended up giving up his baseball hat. I wore it around for the rest of the day.
Wow.
So I started this thing. And I at one point, I threw them all away eventually. But I had over 100 hats that I had gotten from customers. I was anytime I had a customer with a hat that was giving me a hard negotiation, I went for the hat.
It lightened the mood.
And the salespeople see me walking around that customer's hat for the rest of the day, you know, because the last thing I'll tell you, what time is it? That's a Zieglerism. You know, every sales meeting I ever held ended with, what time is it? And I get on the overhead during a sale. I get on the overhead. What time is it? And every salesman in the dealership yell at the top of their lungs, it's showtime. What time is it? It's showtime. That's good. You know, you can be running in neutral. You can be idling. When that customer shows up, bam, it's showtime. Turn it on. Kick it up. You ever see Emeril the chef on TV?
Yes, sir.
Bam!
Let's go.
It up. Yeah, bam! You know, when you meet that customer, you turn on the enthusiasm, you turn on the eye contact, you turn on your personality. You can be idling, but don't you walk out there with dead ass low energy. You walk out there with a winner's walk. You walk out. You know what? Am I making good sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's what salespersonship is all about. Enthusiasm. You know, if you don't have enthusiasm, if you're not happy. Even when you talk on the telephone, you smile.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jim Ziegler, man, it's good to talk to you. How's everything today? You know, you got that enthusiasm, you get that voice going. I see such dead-ass low energy. People walking around dealerships with Bart Simpson faces. You know, they don't look like happy. You don't look like happy people. You know, excuse me. Who wants to go to a dealership with some of the faces you got walking around a dealership? Mm. You smile, you look like you're happy. Walk with some energy in your step. I was working with Lynn Hickey Dodge in Oklahoma City when they set the world record, which was 2,800 units in a month. Retail. That was 1994, Oklahoma City. And Lynn Hickey, he was a hell of a motivator. Lynn Hickey would fire an employee for slow walking across the showroom.
That'll do it.
I mean, absolutely.
I think that goes back to a video I watched earlier today, actually, about you, where you're saying, you know, the reason, like, I think you were at a dealership and you're like, man, how are you getting these salesmen to, you know what I'm saying, do what you need to do? And it's all about, well, I think I'm going to try to quote you. You said, you get what you expect, or you get what you demand, or something.
You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect, but you got what you tolerate. See, everybody knows the first part of that. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. But what they forget is you got what you tolerate. And people put up with spoiled brat salespeople that are poisoning the rest of the salespeople. Bad attitudes grounds for termination. You know, don't be bringing down the people around you. You're selling 20 units. I hate to fire you and get 4 green peas selling 5, but I will.
That's huge.
Yeah. I will not allow you to contaminate or have those little men's room meetings, you know, and I want my salespeople to enthusiastically greet every customer. You get a customer from certain parts of the world that show up on a dealership, you know, and all of a sudden you got 4 old farts sitting on a golf cart. It looks like the Roadrunner, a little poof of smoke. They're all going. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Get a customer from a negotiating culture, they're going.
Too high, as they say.
Oh, my gosh. This has been a lot of fun. Deric, hope you have me back.
Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Any last words you want to give to the folks before we close out of here?
No, I'm just glad we had a conversation and we didn't do this real stiff structured interview. We just had a conversation.
That's it, man. It's just loose talk, car guys talking.
Car guys talking, There's so few car guys left. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, man. You have trained generations. Well, I think I've been trained by you through through Casey. I took a lot of this stuff, and even I give it out to my guys all the time. Little word tracks and things like that, because they still work to this day. And I appreciate you. Thank you for what you've been to the automotive industry, the living legend, Jim Ziegler. Of course, guys, I'm going to break this down a segment into different places. Make sure to follow Jim across his various platforms. I've got his Facebook, his LinkedIn, as well as his website. Should any of you dealer principals or GMs want to have him brought out there, make sure to go onto his website and reach out to him. Thank you so much again, Jim, and y'all be safe out there. Keep hustling.